Welcome back to the Arcopia Show. So I have a kind of a cool concept and rant that I want to run by everyone, but inflation is a good thing. So what do I mean by that? So inflation actually hurts everyone. It actually hurts everyone, but the people that it hurts the most are the people that vote a certain way and caused the inflation. So it hurts those people most. And I mean, you try and you try and you try to explain, but no, the free shit is just too tempting to go and grab, right? But for people that have assets, right, that go up with inflation, they're going to be hurt less. So this could include just your average older person, your average person with real estate or a little business or something, and the kind of the older a person is, hopefully they've accumulated more capital. The bubble times, they have more capital than young people out there. So a young person that hasn't had the chance to accumulate capital and assets that are inflation hedges, they get really left in the dust. So hopefully for young people's sake, the boomers all have to mail their house keys back to the bank, and real estate crashes and stocks crash, and the young people can have an opportunity to have a house one day and things one day. But essentially, it's the everything bubble has to completely pop and break, and then it'll be quite a while before the free market can come in and fix everything that government and democracy and central banks and everything wrecked. So the free market fixes all. It's just going to take a bunch of time. But why is inflation good? So, like, for years, and I'm not even that old, I'm just middle-aged or whatever, but my whole life it's like, why don't people see things like I do? I don't understand. Why do you vote for that stuff? And it's because most people don't have the cognitive ability to see past one set of consequences. So essentially, if I get an extra check, or if I get more sick days so where I can stay home, or if I get an extra holiday, if I get more money and less work, I'm going to feel good. And the consequences, they can't think past steps. And for some reason, I can think 10 steps ahead of everybody. I found on average that I can, everything I do, it starts to become mainstream anywhere from 5 to 7 years later for the average person. So inflation was a good one. Like, if I did a podcast or something on inflation, or started a YouTube channel about things that I was worried about at the time, so like today it's hard for me to do a podcast. It's like I'm so over inflation. I set myself up many moons ago, many years ago, when nobody gave a shit about inflation. If I did a podcast on inflation, nobody listened to it. They don't even know what that word is. But now that it's like inflation, well, it's too late, kind of, to do a lot of things, right? And I'm past it. I'm well on to the next things, right? Anyways, inflation hurts everyone, but people that have assets that go up with inflation, they are hurt less. Now, don't get me wrong, they still hurt, right? If you have a business, you're going to have less customers, because less customers with any disposable income that can buy anything, right? And so it hurts everyone. So, but for me, and I'm not super rich or anything, but I can I feel like I'm playing like 4D chess with people that don't know how to play 4D chess. But in reality, it's like, no, I'm playing checkers with monkeys. That's actually what it is. It's I set myself up, with the little, like, I'm young. I haven't had too many years to work and accumulate wealth, but the things that I do have, it's like farmland with agriculture zoning, built a small house that's high efficient, built high efficient buildings that don't have lots of bills on it, structured some of my things where there's not a high property tax liability burden, so I get extorted less, and I don't have to worry about property tax going up too much. I don't have to worry about energy bills going up too much, or my heating or my electricity. My water's free. I did everything for longevity. For the rest of my life, I don't have to put a new roof on my house. I like buying tools that last a long time, and I accumulate used things. When I see a good deal on a good piece of equipment, I pick that up. And past that, I just did a video on YouTube about everything you possibly need to know about gold and silver, or silver in particular. But if I had put that video out 5 to 7 years ago, nobody would give a crap about it, right? And actually, as it is today, still people give a crap. They haven't figured it out, right? They literally haven't figured it out. When I start to hear the word silver and gold and precious metals and bullion and junk silver come out of some normies' mouths, like I remember a few years ago now, I'd be in Home Depot and somebody'd be at the store, some couple, and the wife was saying to the man, or they were having a conversation loud, and I happened to overhear it, and it's, geez, this is pretty expensive. Like, we should just wait. And the guy's wife is like, no, I think we should buy like 2 or 3. Like, with inflation, it's going to go up with inflation. And I just kind of, oh, wow. The average everyday, like, there's these signs. I don't hang out with the average person very often, but you can see it. And then the mainstream media is kind of, you can get the general psyche, because the TV tells people what to do. They don't think for themselves. So I turn the TV on once every couple of months and see what the society's thinking about now. But they don't talk about gold and silver or precious metals or anything like that, or what you can do to protect yourself from government fiat currencies, which is what inflation is. They print too much and there's too much welfare, and we are in very, very, very bad shape. So normies are talking about, oh, how high interest rates are. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Interest rates are astronomically low. Like, what are they, 4%, 4.5%? And I think food went up in Canada. I saw an article 20% last year and projected for 10% next year. Like, when you see that, so let's go back to, I don't know, when I was going to write books but didn't have the guts to start YouTube in 2013. I would say food prices went up on average 5 to 6% a year since then. So the last 10 years now. So, but that's compounded, you have to realize. So it goes 6%. So if the item was $1, the next year it's $1.06. But then if it's 6% inflation again, it's 6% increase from $1.06, not $1, and it compounds. So if we have 20% price increase on food this year and 10% next year, it all compounds, and it just gets worse. And I don't know if you know anything about compounding things, but hyperinflation, I'll throw it out there. But interest rates are low, but people are talking about how interest rates are high. They literally haven't figured it out yet. So when I start to see the normies talk about, instead of inflation, I start to hear the word gold, silver, and things like that, then I know, okay, some normies are getting on board on this, and okay, I probably got, and then you can watch for like another 100% or something price increase. Like, when most people are chasing, they're at the tail end of things, but then lots of people jump in, and then it bubbles up like crazy high. And when some more people are asking me about silver, then I'll happily offer them a 1 ounce silver coin for $500 US or whatever, and they'll happily pay it because they think that they're onto something, right? All of these investments. So farmland, farm buildings, precious metals, freeze-dried food. Like, again, freeze-dried food, my suggested retail price when we started with the product was $6.99 Canadian. It's $8.99 now, and that's not that long ago, right? So good for all my customers that were the bulk preparedness shoppers as well, that you have those. So that was a very good investment, like especially this year, where every normie kind of lost money, whether it's crypto or tech stocks or the popular stocks. So I've done exceptionally well this year. So an example is in COVID thing. I'm like, holy cow, there's going to be food shortages. Holy cow. Oh my God. Like, I don't even know if I should sell my inventory or I should just keep it. Like, I'm pretty scared about things. And like, no, people didn't care what goes in the hole. They cared what goes out of the hole. And there's a toilet paper shortage. I did not see that coming, right? I don't know if people realize this, but you can go without toilet paper. You can't go without food. But anyways, so food wasn't an issue. And then, oh my God, guys, we have to get exercise equipment but not just an exercise bike and a separate TV. We want an exercise bike TV combo called a Peloton bike. And then that stock drove up huge. And then everybody's making money at home. And I should have seen this. I should have seen it. Like, there's so many hindsights. So I'm going to be a pretty powerful guy in the future with because I retained this information, right? Hot tubs, can't find a hot tub. It's impossible. Saunas, nope, can't find that. Exercise equipment, nope. Tesla stock, super hyper bubble. Peloton bike, super hyper bubble. Zoom, let's invest in Zoom. I should have went around and I'm gonna put on a disguise, I think, and I'm gonna go to a bunch of different demographic locations in town. So maybe a government building waiting room or something, or a lunchroom, and see if I can be a fly on the wall and just listen to what the normies are thinking about. Because if you can find literally, let's say 5 different rough demographic groups, and you can listen to them for just long enough, that's all you need to know. It's like the rest of the country, planet, they all think the same because the television told them, right? Or I could just watch TV, I guess, and psychoanalyze what people are going to do. But no, toilet paper shortages, Peloton bike shortages, and things like that. Not food shortages. And everybody's investments. I'm so rich, I put it all in Shiba Inu cryptocurrency, and I did really, really good at Shiba Inu. I bought Tesla stock, and I did a 10x. But I wish I would have hung on, because I would have had an 18x. It went up so high and stuff, and I'm just raking it in. And here's me, it's like, long-term storable food, working my butt literally off building a deep winter greenhouse, like chopping firewood, getting livestock, figuring out how to do haying and getting haying equipment, and precious metals. And precious metals went food went up, but I didn't 20x things like people that bought Robinhood stock and meme stocks and crypto tokens and did nothing but sit at home and get fat and watch Netflix. I didn't do well when the normies were doing supposedly well. But now this year, so everybody's leveraged. Like in the States, I saw a thing that there's 270,000 new mortgages in 2022 this year that are underwater. So meaning what they paid versus the equity that they have in. The house price is lower than the equity that they have in. So if they sold the house for market price, they'd sell it just to get some of the bank's money back and then have to come up with more and then get no deposit back. Very, very exciting. And it's just begun. You have no idea how bad this is going to get. It's going to be epically bad for the herd mentality that if you did well kind of in 2020, 2021, during the COVID thing and the stimmy thing, if you did really well there, you're going to have a really, really difficult time coming up because if you did well there, you do not understand, right? Unless you are smarter than me and you completely understand, so you did the absolute opposite because you had the ability to follow herd mentality and then sneak out before the herd mentality. Like another example is I learned about Bitcoin at $20 US. It was interviews with somebody, with Max Kaiser, and he explained the whole thing. And I kind of dropped what I was doing. I'm like, well, he makes this sound good. I got to look into this. And I dropped everything and I really dove into it. And I was like, okay, I know how to buy it. I know this, but it has no value, right? It has zero value. It doesn't exist. Why would I buy something that doesn't exist? But the thing is, if I was smart enough to buy Bitcoin at $20, even though I don't believe it, but because of it's something new, and there's people saying like, this is the new internet, right? Which it isn't. And I wasn't smart enough. But if I was smart enough to buy at, say, $20, I know myself, because I understood it, I would have sold at, I don't know, $40 or $100 or something, and be like, holy cow, this did a 5x and it's nothing. I'm going to just cash out and go, right? But I probably would have put a lot of money in, so I would have been wealthy at that anyways. But no, it went to 70,000. That's how dumb people are. But just imagine that. The hyper bubble of these things, the crypto market, what did it get up to? Multi-trillions of dollars? And the annual silver production on planet Earth's 20 billion US dollars. So all of the cryptos combined, even just Bitcoin, massively surpassed real money, something that exists on the planet, something that people need for their Tesla that they like to invest in. Some people, the main thing that people need for solar panels that they want to put on their house so they can virtue signal to their other Tesla driving neighbors. But do they buy real money or know anything about that? Nope. They're going to, I promise you. But when the herd mentality can take something that has no value from nothing to trillions of dollars, literally. When it goes the other way, there's only going to be a handful of people on the receiving end that are in position properly, and I think I'm one of them. So essentially, the worse it gets for everyone, the worse inflation gets for the average person, the more that they hurt, the more houses that are vacant and lost and repossessed from the bank, the more cars that are repossessed and trucks that are repossessed, the more unemployment. Unfortunately, the better I do. And I say that very unfortunately. It's very sad. It's very sad, right? I don't know what else I could have possibly done, right? Even now, I'm starting to do the YouTube and podcast things. Obviously, I should have maybe done it 10 years ago, but then again, why? Nobody would listen. And then still, the audience is very small now, but maybe if you're listening to this in the future, right now it is December the 14th, 2022. Maybe you're listening in the future, and right now silver is at $32 Canadian per ounce. The Fed is at the tail end of increasing their interest rates. They didn't even get to close to the real inflation, but it's going to break pretty soon. Then they're going to pause and then reverse course, and that's kind of might be the last time. Then we're going to have significant high inflation, if not hyperinflation, at the same time as record high unemployment. It's going to be stagflation at its worst. But when I say record high inflation, I don't necessarily mean things that have been in a bubble. So if Tesla is, I don't know what it is exactly right now, but it was up to 20 times overvalued. So it was in a bubble times 20, essentially. And lots of these things. Crypto bubble, Canadian housing market, and most of the housing market, like everywhere, China, USA, hyper bubble. So even though it's super high inflation, it doesn't necessarily mean so with asset prices or your traditional assets. So there's a very good possibility it's super high inflation, but not on houses, vehicles. It'll just be on property tax, energy, home heating, electricity, fuel for those cars that you can't afford to lease anymore. All your other necessities like food and water, those are going to go up at the same time as all these asset prices come crashing down. So that's a very good possibility. And this is at the same time as many businesses close. Like, people don't understand. There's for my product, for instance, if things slow down, which I fully expect they're going to, right? So if you have a product that expires or goes bad in a short period of time, you might be in a hurry to liquidate that. So then there might be the odd sale on it, but then that business, because they're selling too cheap and everything and the costs are high, they're going to stop. Either, like, best case scenario, just shut the doors voluntarily or go bankrupt, and then there'll be no products in the future, and then there'll be a massive shortage, and then it'll be super, super high inflation. So for me, if sales slow down, when lots of people are doing sales, and I kind of watch this kind of thing, but after the sale is done, they have no more inventory and no more business, type of thing. So it doesn't matter if all the businesses are closed, all the little retailers are closed, people don't have any money to spend, the price of food still goes up in price, right? Now, one thing I'm not entirely sure on is the precious metals scenario. So if, I guess, most normies that put themselves in terrible positions, like decided it was a good idea to buy a $900,000 townhouse for some reason and lease 2 vehicles. So those kind of people do not have precious metals, like guaranteed, 100% guaranteed. If you're that type of person, you don't have precious metals. So it's not like those people have precious metals that are going to sell back into the market, but the paper market is a scary thing. It's massive derivatives, and it's all computer algorithmic trading. So as we have some stock market crashes, because it's going to go back down to its mean valuation, which is a long way down. We have a long way to fall, and probably for many, many years, it's just going to keep going down and then stay there. But there's going to be lots of margin calls. And one good thing about gold and silver is that it is 100% liquid right now. It's one of the only things that's completely liquid, and you can liquidate anytime. Well, when all these people get margin called, there might be one heck of a temporary dip opportunity. So if everybody's called on margin when there's a Black Monday in the stock market or something, and then there's margin calls and they sell literally anything that's not bolted down, that's liquid, and because gold and silver are the most liquid things, they might sell the crap out of that and it might have a big dip. So for me, I like having, even though I lose big time to inflation, you have a little bit of cash on hand. So I'm still, like, metals, I believe, are very, very cheap, and commodities are cheap. So I'm still in those type of markets that are going to go up regardless, even if it has a temporary dip. I have the fundamentals down where I don't get scared or anything. So some of the mining stocks I've had, the little ones I'd bought, it's like, I can't believe this thing's so cheap. So I put some in, and then it goes down, and then I put some more, and then it goes down. And I had some that were down 50%, right? But then in like 2 or 3 months, those ones that have gone down 50%, I've already done a 3x my money in 2022 in tax haven savings accounts that we have in Canada. So that's nice. So I've made more money this year when everybody's losing money than probably anybody. So I always do well in bear markets. That's where I thrive. So if you have the preparedness mindset, then you're always kind of hesitant, right? And I don't necessarily miss opportunities. I really take advantage of opportunities when the things that that I know 100% are going to happen play out, but sometimes it just takes longer. So actually, I'm going to, kick my feet up a little bit. I'm going to be doing very, very well. Even if you don't make a bunch of money, but everybody else loses money, and, real estate goes back down to reality. So it goes from, I don't know, $1 million townhouse to $150,000 again. That's excellent for me. It's not good for whoever owns that, of course, but why would you own $1 million townhouse? That's stupid. It's in bubble land. So I'm actually thinking, geez, how should I play this? Like, what real estate would I get back into? Like, I could go back into real estate after this. Like, just pick an entrance point. I'll have to watch again the herd mentality when nobody's interested in real estate many years down the road. When they start saying, "Oh, real estate, why would you invest in real estate?" Real estate only goes down. Like, maybe it's a 8 or 10 year procedure, but I'll just be watching and waiting. And then, you go buy city blocks or things, or expansive farmland, and do expansions that way, and have maybe at that point, maybe we're into pod housing or something. If you don't know what pod housing is, that's in the 1950s and 60s and 70s and 80s even, a man could go to work and make enough money to have a very large home, a family car or two, go on multiple vacations, have investments, and have his wife stay home with multiple kids and eat healthy and do things. And that's not that long ago. But today, you have to have two, you don't have to, but if you're stuck in the rat race, you have to have two adults working, send your kids to government indoctrination camps and daycare and things like that. So that's today. And that's even hard to do. Like, people aren't going to be able to afford the houses that they have. But fast forward, it's going to be people not only just room rentals, but renting, top bunk in a room that has 4 sets of bunk beds. Literally, like, I'm not joking. Pod housing, I call it. So in Hong Kong is super populated concentration of humans in, like, downtown Hong Kong, or all of Hong Kong. So people rent for, thousands of dollars a month, this crummy little crap hole thing with no kitchen or bathroom, just a shared bathroom. And it's terrible. Like, why would you want to live like that? I don't know. But could get back into real estate when everybody loses their shirts and is starving and hungry and things. And, like, what else do you do? So I don't know. It's kind of a really cool apocalypse when you think about it. Anyways, that's I was kind of getting off track there, but inflation is a good thing. Let's get back there for 1 minute. Inflation is wonderful. So the people that vote in a democracy and vote for free stuff and don't understand anything and vote for ski instructors or the bastard child of Fidel Castro from Cuba that Cuba didn't even want, things like this, and don't listen, inflation hurts them the most, like, big time. It hurts those type of people. So when they don't have assets, when they're renting, when they don't have food stored, when they don't have a garden or any ambition to do so, it hurts them the most and hurts rich people the best. So that's wonderful. Like this is going to be a really hard lesson for all the stupid people that voted the way that they did, and I hope and pray that it's bad enough that it let's not do that again. I'd like that for a few generations. That would be wonderful. Holy cow, we really screwed that one up. Let's not do that again. That's what happens every time after communism. Every single time, right? Communism, and then it gets really, really, really bad. And then after it's bad for a long time, the pendulum swings to, that was terrible. My whole life was just terrible because of this communism. Let's never do that again. We want freedom, and I will work, and I'm a strong man, and I'm going to start businesses, capitalism, and no taxation, stuff like that. So You can see this in the pendulum in Russia, right? I don't really follow the quote unquote war with it's the U.S. and Russia. If you don't know that, it's NATO and Russia. So, but I did watch a good speech by Vladimir Putin. Now, Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin sounds like me. He said a few things like the West prints money and doesn't create anything, doesn't create any food or energy. What are you going to do? Are you going to fuel your car with printed paper and eat printed paper? Russia, I don't know a ton about it and the country, but like I bet you they tried communism and Soviet Russia and it was absolute terrible. They screwed that up. And China had their thing in what was it? The 1940s was the worst of it. Mao and millions, countless millions. Like in communism, government's so incompetent and everybody's just trying to survive and there's killing and everything. So there's no record of nobody even knows how many millions communism has killed in those hard times. But Russia right now is like, let's not do that again. Let's not. We want to get away from this stupid shit, right? So the pendulum swings back and forth. So I hope the inflation is bad enough and people hurt enough. If there's lots of death, I mean, so be it. There's nothing I can do, right? I can't. I'm not going to give you free fishes. I'm not even going to bother teaching you to fish at this point. I'm just going to have to worry about myself. I hope it's bad enough. And the quicker it is, actually, the better it is. So the quicker it all collapses, actually, the better it is. Because if it's a slow, dragged out thing where people are maybe going into more debt or suffering or using up their resources slowly, and then all of a sudden when it does get really bad, then they're down to like nothing. They lost their house, their car, their clothes, their money, everything. Then it's going to be really bad. So the faster it happens, the more lives will be actually saved. So you could argue that way. But another take on inflation, I'll try not to get too sidetracked here, but people said, well, what is the government going to do? Are they going to win the battle of inflation? oh, people that don't understand. That's so funny. So the government and central banks have two choices. So they can, like, it's so bad, right? Like, it's default on the debt or inflate it away, right? So defaulting on the debt is the right thing to do, but it's going to be terrible for everyone. Inflating the debt away, so printing the money and inflating the debt away and creating very high or hyperinflation, it inflates the debt away. So let's say you have a line of credit that's $100,000 that you got set up. Now, it's hard to get credit nowadays because I think they know how bad it's going to get. But anyways, if you have a $100,000 line of credit and you use that $100,000 to say buy, I don't know, gold coins, gold mining stocks, or a silver royalty company or something, that is going to go way up. And your debt is going to stay the same. So as long as you can make the little payments, interest-only payments on a $100,000 line of credit or something, and you didn't buy plasma LED TVs and a wakeboarding boat with it, like stupid shit, like most people are due. You have to be a little bit responsible. But if you bought something that is actually going to go significantly higher with inflation, like gold, silver, commodities, energy, natural gas, food, versus the interest rates on that loan, right? As long as you can make the payments, essentially inflation wipes out your debt for you. You don't even have to do anything, right? So if you took out $1 million in a credit line, if you knew that you could make the payments, and with that $1 million that you borrowed, you bought $1 million worth of, I don't know, gold or something, and then just wait and make the payments, right? And then gold doubles, and then you have $2 million worth of gold, but your debt is still $1 million. So this is what government is going to do just so you know. They're going to try to inflate the debt away. But when they inflate the debt away, it's not just the government's debt, it's all other debts. But the problem is everybody has bad debt, right? Like credit card debt and student loan debt, debt that doesn't have assets attached, so really bad debt, or debt that has poor assets attached, like a condo, a mortgage on a condo or something that is way overvalued. Part of the bubble, and the price of the condo goes down, you lose everything and more. You might as well mail the keys back to the bank. Your equity down payment is gone. But if you are smart enough to know these things and you do what I just told you, I mean, you can't take that as any investment advice or nothing, but it's going to inflate the debt away. So either way, if it's super high inflation or stagflation, or if they do somehow decide to do the responsible thing and default and declare bankruptcy on the country, it's going to be absolutely terrible for the average person. So there's no good way out of it, right? But inflation is a good thing. You could look at it that way. It's a tax on the people that are stupid enough to vote and put us in this situation to begin with in the first place. So I didn't, right? I've never taken welfare in my life or anything, right? All I do is pay. I try to pay as little as possible, obviously, because I don't want anything to do with them. I don't want a welfare check, but I also don't want to pay at all. But obviously, I don't want to go to prison, so you pay as little as you possibly can and situate yourself ways. Yeah, all the people getting welfare and have been living it up and made poor investments. Yeah, so good luck to you, I guess. I really do wish you all the best. It's very cold where I am. I would suggest going south or closer to a coast. Now, there's going to be lots of people at the warmer places because it's hard to live out here. To live here, you kind of need to be set up, right? You need a well-insulated building and wood stoves and land and canning jars, or else you're not going to survive if it gets that bad. But that's why I can't understand there's so many homeless people, so much more this year. Like, things are starting, just the absolute beginning of getting absolute terrible. But I can't. Why are you homeless in Saskatchewan, Canada? Like, it's minus 35 outside. You're going to lose all of your fingers and toes and ears, and maybe you might die, right? Like, one thing government's in charge of is homeless shelters, or they put those up. So obviously those are all shit places, and most of them are shut down actually because they have more important things to do, like have meetings every day with a $50 plate luncheon for every member of the government cubicle offices. So anyway, it's been fun. I've stocked up on a lot of popcorn, 5-gallon pails of popcorn. I should get a little bit of dairy equipment. I have a butter churn, electric and hand ones. So butter for the popcorn. Salt, I have a lot of salt. The power will stay on. The bills are going to go up, but our bills are very, very low. And LED TV doesn't take too much, and fast Starlink internet, so I'll be able to watch anybody broadcasting the bad times for the next decade or so. So got enough popcorn for that, and go milk my goat and churn some butter, get my remote and make some popcorn and watch it on the television, and don't go into the city anymore unless it's an absolute last resort. This is just me chatting today, freestyle rant. Let me know what you think of it. Again, I try to censor myself, and as I get more comfortable with this, I've always pushed the limits. And once again, I keep trying to thin the herd of my subscribers. But if you don't like what I have to say, if you just look at the bottom of this podcast or video, there should be an unsubscribe button. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, and good luck. Okay, let me know in the comments what you thought of that. We'll talk to you next time.